So tournament season is over,
Yep.
but fishing is still in full force, right?
Absolutely.
And you joke that you guys are full-time truck drivers, part-time fishermen.
Yep.
So you had to have learned a lot of like tricks of the trade of how to maneuver traveling with a boat when you're going long distances. So,
yeah.
So do you have any tips for guys who are going on like a big fishing trip with their friends?
Oh, yeah. Well, let's do this. We'll come back, and I got 5 tips for a guy who's, going to Kentucky Lake or Sturgeon Bay or somewhere like that on a fishing trip with their buddies. Stick around, guys.
Welcome back to Mark Fisher Outdoors. I'm Megan Fuller.
And I'm Mark Fisher. Thanks for tuning in, guys. Before I give these 5 tips,
hit that subscribe button, push like.
Thanks, guys. We appreciate that. I'm going to 5 tips, and I bet these are things that a lot of guys don't know about, and that it took me years and years to kind of put these together. But
accumulate.
So the first one I'm going to talk about has to do with a car wash. Do you have any idea what I would want a car wash for while I was driving around with a boat? And don't say to keep my truck clean, because it had nothing to do with that.
To keep your boat clean?
Nope.
So that when you're on the water, everyone can see your sponsors?
Nope, that's not it. Every time I pull into a town, I'm aware of where there's a do-it-yourself car wash. Okay. And the reason for that is if there's a day when I want to be in the boat prepping rods and things like that, and it's raining, I don't want to be out in the rain prepping rods. And so I will pull into a car wash. They never get used when it's raining.
That's true.
Car washes are empty when it's raining. You can pull in, boats underneath in a car wash, and you can sit there and work on your rods and get everything organized.
Do you still give them the 25 cents or whatever?
No.
Okay.
No. But nobody is there.
No one. Okay.
So I'm not. If
you're not taking up.
I'm not
space.
taking up space. I'm not using it when somebody would want to do that. So car washes. Pay attention to where the car washes are. That's the first one.
Okay. What's the second one?
Second one we covered actually in one of our first 4 episodes, and I'll put a link to it. And it has to do
the flat tire.
The flat tire one, right?
The flat tire in downtown Chicago.
Absolutely. Yeah. If you have a flat tire on your trailer, there's a way to change your tire without needing a jack and all of that kind of stuff. And traveling around, the last thing I want to do if I get a flat tire is have to pull out a jack and do all of that stuff. Mm-hmm. And so knowing how to change a tire on your trailer without using a jack is my second tip. And if you don't know that one, go back to that episode that we put out. Like I said, go all the way back to the beginning. I think it was like the 4th episode that we did, and you can see how to do that.
We're just babies in that episode.
Yeah, right. We were young. Young. We were young at YouTube.
We were inexperienced.
3. Tip number 3. A lot of guys use Airbnbs, and I highly recommend it. You're going fishing on a fishing trip with your buddies. You're going to pull into an Airbnb.
Unless you have pets.
Yeah, don't use that. Right, we learned that one, right. But when you're checking out the Airbnb, don't just go by, we got plenty of parking, okay? I wouldn't even go by necessarily the pictures that they give. I would get the address, look on Google Earth, and check it out. Remember, you need parking not for 4 cars. You need parking for 4 cars with boats. Okay? So get an aerial picture and make sure that you're going to be able to park all of the rigs at that house before you rent that house. And saying, there's a big yard. A lot of people don't like you parking boats in the yard. So you got to check that out. And make sure that if that's what you're planning on doing, the people at the house say, yeah, that's okay. Okay. So that's the 3rd one, right?
Yeah. So the 4th one.
So the 4th one is that just like a tournament angler, I strongly recommend doing some research on the lake that you're going. You and your buddies might spend an annual trip going up to Sturgeon Bay, for example, or something like that. But do some research on that body of water that you're going to. See if there's local things that have happened, tournaments that have gone on there, changes, where have guys done well? Because you might constantly fish in this area or, year after year fish in this area when there might be an area that's doing better, a few miles down the lake. Get that information, try it out.
Don't rely on your history.
Don't rely on your history, is exactly right. Do some research beforehand. And YouTube nowadays, you look up the body of water, you can find out, past tournament success, what baits they were using, things like that. So do your research.
Right. And last but not least, number 5.
Number 5, going back to the Airbnb. We talked about finding parking, but you also need to have outlets for that many. Now, here's the thing, plenty of outlets, but if everybody's parked up at the front and there's an outlet in the front of the house and everybody plugs into that front outlet, you're going to end up blowing a fuse. Can't tell you the number of times that we've had 4 boats plugged into the front outlet and we wake up in the middle of the night, or we may wake up the next morning, nobody got a charge because the fuse blew and all 4 of those boats sat there not charging. So a couple of boats plug in the front, you run some long extension cords from the back where it's on a different fuse.
Right.
Even though they're longer extension cords and they got to run up to where the boats are, at least everybody's getting a full charge. So make sure you're not charging off the same circuit breaker, same fuse, so that you don't end up with a blown fuse in the middle of the night and nobody got a battery charge. So those are my 5 tips that I think, it's important for guys to know. I'd love it if maybe I missed one.
Yeah.
And you guys can send me a comment and let me know, and let the rest of us know if I missed any suggestions. But those are 5 tips if you're going on a fishing trip, things to kind of think about before you go. And we appreciate you tuning in, and we'll be back again tomorrow for another episode. Take care, everybody.
Stay channeled.